Welcome to Women's $1 Million Conversations with Alice Tang, where we share stories from successful businesswomen who have saved, earned, or sold over $1 million and discuss how they built their success and insights to help you achieve your goals. Now, let's join the conversation.
Sadie, welcome.
Thank you.
We are very happy today to have Sadie Lincoln, the owner and the founder of barre3, with us on Women's $1 Million Conversation. Our guest has either accumulated $1 million, made $1 million of revenue or W-2 income, of course, and many more beyond, or they have struck $1 million deal. Basically, a customer or a client has written a check for their service or products for $1 million. And today we are very happy to have Sadie with us. Sadie, would you restate your name, your company, the industry you are in, and how long does it take you to get to your million?
All right. I'm Sadie Lincoln, and my company is called barre3. We have exercise studios across the nation, in Canada, the Philippines, and now one in Japan. And we're in the fitness industry. And what was the last question?
How long does it take you to get to your million, and which route are you talking about?
I would say revenue. And honestly, I didn't market right at $1 million, so I'm not really sure. But I'm guessing maybe year 3. But I'm not really sure. I haven't tracked my success by that marker, but it just happened. And yeah. So I would say $1 million revenue.
You are an overachiever, as our common friend Ryan Buchanan would say. So it took you 3 years to get to that revenue level. And of course, now you have over 170 different franchises all over the world, including the newest in Tokyo, you just shared with us. When you get to about that mark, how does it make you feel? Did you remember your emotion, your feeling at the time?
Yes. I will say that for me, I've rarely measured my success based on a revenue number. For me, about impact and the amount of people that joined our movement, which is our fitness company, and that we were reaching exponentially so many more people. And honestly, what made me feel so good about that is I didn't feel so alone in my pursuit to feel good in my body and to feel like I had this thing that I was doing in the world that maybe was making a teeny dent in the universe, in my little corner of the universe. We were making a dent together. And the more people that joined this movement, the more likely that dent was to last. And then when the money started to come in, that was just truly for me, icing on the cake, and afforded me things that I never really had growing up. And so that was really exciting and did feel really good. But my measure of success to this day is not revenue. It's not monetary, almost to a fault in a way. It's the work I'm doing is trying to really understand that it's empowering to have money and really important to understand where my money is coming in and also how I'm spending it, and to really value that and take care of my assets that way, if you will.
Very good. What really gave me the biggest goosebumps is you said is the amount of impact to the people around you, make them believe. Probably if we watch all the Sadie Lincoln videos in the past, we know that pre-barre3 is so focusing on the body shape rather than the fitness and the health and the balance.
Yeah.
I think women have a certain standard that sometimes is unrealistic.
Yeah. Yeah. The external measures of success are so valued in our culture, overly valued. I think there's an imbalance around shaping your body externally into a certain mold that is defined by societal norms to be successful, worthy, belonging, sexy, which really doesn't serve any of us. But more importantly, I think internal measures of success are what serve us. When we feel really alive in our bodies, when we feel really strong in our bodies, when we feel really honest in our bodies, that's when we're motivated from an inside perspective, exercise becomes incredibly rewarding and something we want to do. I don't think there's anything wrong with external measures of success. It feels good to get to a weight goal or to build more muscle and to see a little definition. And there's nothing wrong with that. I just think we're way out of balance with it. It's gone too far.
Thank you for redefining fitness for all of us, women and men. Now, what is the value of money for you? Sadie, you mentioned that the money just come after you made the impact, and it allows you to do a lot of different things that you haven't thought about. So would you share a little bit with us?
Yeah, I think from a business perspective, one thing I'm proud of is that we've been in business for 14 years. We have 176 studios. We have an online subscriber base in over 98 countries. So we've scaled our company considerably. We've grown on cash flow. No outside private equity has come in to date. So we would put our money back into the business. I enjoy taking my money and pouring it into things I believe will make a difference. That is very natural for me. It is not a stretch for me. And we also franchise. So really our investors are people investing in their own studio. So we have been able to scale through other people's investment that way. But overall, I think we probably could have taken more cards off the table, but we chose to pour it back in. And I think that's true in my personal life too, where I pour my money is on my kids' education, experiences, a home that I always wanted growing up. Like that was important to me. Things like that. I feel very blessed to be able to do.
Very good. So it looks like the freedom that you have given to yourself and your family, and plus the impact that you could further give to this world of fitness and thus the population. And leveraging what you said just now is the dent. And there's a lot of people joining this movement. How many people joining, the more they are, the dent will last longer and deeper.
Yeah.
Thank you, Sadie. Next question is about bias. This year, International Women's Day's theme is break the bias. And naturally, being a woman, we talk about there is a bias about our sex gender. But I'm not here only talking about that. What other biggest bias on your road of success that you have met and you conquer?
I think probably the bias that external measures matter more than internal measures. When we go out, and we have looked outside for money in the past, and it just didn't work out. And I just still find it interesting that we measure success by a pretty narrow view. Even in business, it's how quick did you make that widget scale and how profitable can you be? And of course, those things are important. That's creating a healthy business. But what I always ask is, okay, maybe we weren't so profitable, but we've built this incredible foundation that's sustainable. Let's measure how resilient we are as a company, how recession-proof we are, how we can last because we've built such a true culture. Let's measure how people feel when they leave the studio. Let's measure that body confidence as a value for our company. And it's just really interesting that conversation barely exists. And people kind of look at me sideways when I talk about it. But I do think that's a bias. I think there's feminine energy and there's masculine energy, and we all have both. Feminine energy archetypally is about more inner wisdom, those kinds of things like collaboration, culture, connection, sustainability. Masculine energy is about crushing it, winning, competition, showing up on the stage, getting a lot of locations, and a healthy profit margin. And that's important too. But I think we're biased that direction versus some of the more feminine sides of leadership.
That's also explain the balance. I think if we're not happy, you can have a lot of money and you're not happy.
Oh, for sure. And it's the same thing in the body. It mirrors the body. Like, I think a lot of us are told this story that if we lose the weight and we gain the muscle and we do the things to get to that external measure, that then we'll be happy. Then we'll belong. I know I thought that for many years as a young woman. I thought if only I could look like this, then I will be winning, then I will be successful and happy. And when I got there, I wasn't. And I think that's true with money too. You make the $1 million, you get the $1 million check or have that $1 million deal or whatever it is. If we are attached to that being happy, being the answer, there's so much grief in that because you get there and it's actually really not. It's not. Someone, I don't remember who this was, said, yeah, you have to find happiness first. And then the $1 million makes you happier. And there's really something to that. There's really something to that. It's both and it's not either.
There's a lot of truth to that. And I like to just say it from another angle. If you do the right thing and make sure we watch the benefits to our customer or clients, depending on what business you are in.
Yeah.
If they got help, they got what they want, the money will just come.
That's right.
The money will not come forever, continuously, sustainability, and resiliently. If you did the wrong thing, and we saw in the news, there is many people who've done the wrong thing,
yes,
and out of the blue, it's gone. What is the number one piece of advice you will give to another woman who want to get there just like you? Let's say they want to get to the third year that Sadie Lincoln was some 11 years ago. What is your number one piece of advice to them?
I think a financial goal is one part of the mix. I think it's healthy to have a financial goal. I think more important is what really matters most to you as you're building whatever you're building for yourself and your life. Along the way, like what other measures of success are equally, if not more important to you than that $1 million mark? Measure those two. And I would even say, for me, I'll just speak for me, being motivated by the other things is what led to the $1 million. If I was just motivated to make $1 million, I probably would have, but then I wouldn't have had anything else. I wouldn't have had the sustainability and the growth and the ability to continue to create and innovate. It maybe would have stopped there. So I think it's more expansive to measure what matters most to you. And one of those things could be money. And that's okay.
Could be, but then once again, when you do the right things, it will come. I resonated with your comment because I had some personally dirty laundry, but that made me have a very low self-esteem and ego for the longest time. So I want to change that for other women. You can do differently. You don't need to be as stuck as me or for so long. So my goal is to really helping them to be in charge so that they can make sure that they can call the shots even in the most difficult time in their life.
Yeah.
I know there is a lot of big decision, huge decision you need to make. And when the stakes are high, how do you do that?
When the stakes are high, it's such a good question. The stakes are high right now. In my business, fitness is one of the hardest hit industries during this pandemic era. And I think one person told me once, he said, you cannot have the feeling, the emotion of fear and faith at the same time. It's impossible. Or you can think of faith as hope. And I think that when the stakes are high, it's had to be a more conscious practice to be motivated by faith and hope versus fear. And to look at all the data, look at all the realness of the world, and continue to make decisions based on our core values, our strength as an organization, our belief that we can do hard things together as a group, problem solving, giving each other grace, all these things that are so important right now. If we were operating from fear, those things would be a lot harder to problem solve and to see. And it's the only way we'll get out of this is if we have faith and if we have hope and if we continue to just persevere. And I think the stakes are high, but also like the faith thing is we can still risk. We can still take calculated risk as a business because I believe so much in what we're doing and that the future needs us as an organization. But again, that's more of a conscious practice now, whereas both my husband and I we're not frozen by taking risk. We actually really calculated risk. It was more natural for us. Now we have to be more conscious and aware that we still need to do that, even though the stakes are higher and our revenue is down. It's an interesting time for sure.
It's an interesting time for a lot of other business, whether it's the fitness business or outside, because really the pandemic has changed a lot. For many of us, there's no way that we can go back. I love what you said about faith and hope. I once heard that hope is aggressive expectation of a good result.
I love that.
Not able to see it yet, because if you can see it, it's easier. But you haven't been able to see it. Always remember that. Next question, which you answered partially in this last question. When you want to quit, what makes you keep going?
When I want to quit, I think it's my values and my conviction. I'll just ask a neighbor, how are you doing? And I'll hear the answer. And most of us are like, I feel stuck. I'm overextended. I'm exhausted. I don't feel empowered in my body right now. And that keeps me going. I'm like, yeah, we need to come together in group and move together and remember that we're strong and we can stand tall and be certain in our bodies. When it's such a chaotic, uncertain time all out here in our external lives, it's more important now than ever to be certain in our bodies. And that's what we do at barre3. And we do it in community, and we're also lonely. And so when I'm just a problem solver, I think a lot of entrepreneurs are, I see a great problem that we need to solve right now, and it's fighting lonely and it's being certain in our bodies. And so that keeps me going. It's like just hearing it from my neighbor makes me motivated to get up and get out of bed and keep doing the good fight.
Community and the core value, sticking with it and have hope. I'm following the trend. What is one piece of advice, very good or very bad, that make the biggest impact in your life?
Oh my God, I have to think about the really bad advice at some point. I don't have that at the top of my head. That's a really good question. Recently, a wise kind of father-like figure said to me, and it's related to the faith conversation. He said to me, Sadie, expect the best, deal with the rest. And that has been my mantra over every day. It lifts me up because it helps me operate from a feeling of abundance and a confidence that I'll be able to deal with the rest. There's something very empowering and clear in that statement. Expect the best, deal with the rest. That one's going to serve me for a while. Yeah.
Yes. It's so aligned with, you talk about faith and the hope.
Yeah, exactly.
Because you can't see those, you expect the best and deal with the rest.
Yeah. Yeah.
And because you have created your company to be sustainable and resilient, yes, then that also help a lot. Because if you're so thin, you don't have cash flow, there's no room to wriggle.
Yes. Yes, exactly.
My last question, what is the one thing you would do differently on your path of success, or if there's any?
Oh gosh, yeah. Yeah. Gosh, it's such a journey of failing and then moving forward, learning, humbly learning, picking yourself back up, humbly learning, picking yourself back up. I really think running a business is the greatest spiritual growth opportunity I've ever had. But I think one of the really clear business-minded things I would have done differently earlier on is had the awareness that barre3 had outgrown me. I wanted to create this big scalable company. I still do. And it didn't outgrow me. I just started to do a job that wasn't aligned with my authentic self and where my genius lies. I tried to push myself into a role that wasn't an authentically good fit for me. And because of that, I didn't have the right people around me to really help us do what we needed to do. And that doesn't serve anybody in the organization. And I have learned that now. I wish I learned it earlier. And so I hired a fantastic president and COO. I have such a strong leadership team who have an external worldview about how to take this beautiful company and make it grander, and to let go and let them do it. And let me do what I love to do, which is conversations like this and connecting with people and teaching wonderful classes and holding the essence of barre3 tight and protecting it. That's my job. And I'm really good at it. And that's what I love to do. And I wish I could tell my younger self that I didn't need to do everything, that there are other people who can hold you up and make this truly special together, which we have now, which is just lovely.
Yeah, what I have heard is honor your authentic self and have the awareness earlier so that you can rally the right people in your team to help you to do the things that you perhaps less want to do, but focusing on the things that you really want to do.
And all of that, the root underlying message in that for me was self-confidence. Like self-compassion, self-confidence, like loving myself as I am and my strength as they are, and not thinking I needed to be something else for other people to appreciate me, to value me, to think I was worthy as a leader for the organization. And I think a lot of the times, especially women, we're so worried about our worth being defined by things that aren't authentically us. And it's always good to have good friends around you and people reminding you that you're good just as you are. Just keep being you and then let other people do the rest. I think we all need to hear that from time to time.
Absolutely. I'm glad that we close on a very high note of self-confidence, because if we are not confident in ourselves, where is the happiness? And if you have health, that's great because you use barre3 training. If you have money, it's even better. But if you are not happy about yourself, those two cannot help you.
That's right.
Yep. Thank you so much, Sadie, for taking time